All right, guys, here's some support on question number 13 on that spring break activity. All right. So it says, what is an equation of the line that passes through the point -5 and -3 and is perpendicular to the line x plus y equal to 2? All right. So we've done parallel and perpendicular before, guys. All right. And this was a skill not a lot of you guys loved. All right. So let's kind of go over or refresh our knowledge about things we need to remember. All right. So first thing we need to remember, and the easiest thing, is that parallel means your slope stays the same. All right. So again, guys, parallel means same slope. All right. Perpendicular, however, means something different. All right. So perpendicular, all right, means that your slope, you're going to have to do the negative reciprocal. All right. So what I mean by the negative reciprocal is that you're going to change the sign for whatever your slope is. So if it's a positive, it turns to a negative. If it's a negative, it turns to a positive. All right. So you change signs. So change signs. Okay. And then you flip the number, all right? So whatever it is, you write it as a fraction and you flip it. So you flip that number, all right? So again, guys, parallel means that your slope stays the same. Perpendicular means that you change the signs and flip the number of your slope, all right? So let's go and let's try to solve this, guys. However, guys, when I see my question, x plus y is equal to 2, I don't already know what the slope is. So I need to first figure out what my slope is before I can do anything else. So I need to make sure that my equation is in the form y equal mx plus b. Okay? Because we know that m stands for the slope. All right? So what we're going to do first, guys, is that I'm going to move my x to the other side by subtracting x. Subtracting x. That will get canceled, all right? And then my positive y, I bring it down. Can I subtract x from 2? No. So I write it as a negative x and a positive 2. So it looks a little bit more like my general form, all right? Technically, in front of this x is a negative 1, all right? So normally now you try to divide by a number that's in front of the y. However, technically what's in front of the y? A positive 1. And if I divide by that positive 1, all my terms are still going to stay the same. All right? So again, they still would stay the same. Okay? So now we're going to do the perpendicular of my slope. Okay? So perpendicular, the symbol that represents it looks like this. Okay? So the perpendicular of my slope is that this is the same as negative 1 over 1. I'm going to change the sign from a negative to a positive, and I'm going to flip the number. But if I flip 1 over 1, I still have 1 over 1. All right? So again, guys, my new slope would be a positive 1 over 1. So I'll write y equal positive 1 over 1x. All right? And we don't care about the 1 intercept. So this 2 that's right here, I don't care about it. So I'm going to replace that 2 with a plus b. Okay? So now we're going to plug in our points. So this is my x and this is my y. All right? So I replace y with negative 3. Rewrite the 1 over 1. And I replace x with negative 5. And I can write it as negative 5 over 1. Okay? So I'm going to multiply my parentheses, okay? So my negative 3, I bring it down. Multiply the numerators, I get negative 5. Multiply the denominators, I get 1. Negative 5 divided by 1 still gives me negative 5. All right? So now I rewrite my plus b. All I have to do now is find b by adding 5 to both sides. All right? So that b is equal to negative 3 plus 5 is positive 2. All right? So again, guys, when you're doing parallel and perpendicular, your aim at the end when you're plugging in points is to find the value of b. All right? So my answer for my perpendicular, so again, I replace my b with this positive 2. it would be y equal 1 over 1x, and then instead of plus b, I write plus 2, because my b is 2. So again, guys, that's the answer. Okay, so again, a lot of you guys did not love to do these type of problems, but if you can master this, guys, you're showing the ability that you could be a 5 or above. Okay, so again, guys, this is a question that I would love to master if I were you. All right, so let's try another one, guys. Okay, so again, guys, we have our equation. This time we're again doing perpendicular, all right, which I'm actually happy about because I want us to practice that, okay? So we have 4x minus 3y equal 15. I need to get it in the form y equal what? Mx plus b. That way I can easily identify the slope, all right? And when I find the y-intercept, do I care about that y-intercept? No, all right? I don't care about that y-intercept. I'm going to replace it with b, okay? So first thing I'm going to do, guys, is move the positive 4x to the other side by subtracting 4x on both sides. This gets canceled, all right? And my negative 3y, I bring it down. Can I subtract 4x from 15? No, because they're not like terms. But I'm going to rearrange it to write it as a negative 4x and a positive 15. So it looks a little bit more like my general form, okay? Now I'm going to divide everything by negative 3, and things are going to change, all right? Because I'm dividing by that negative 3, okay? So I would have y is equal, a negative divided by a negative gives me a positive. And can I divide 4 by 3? No. So I leave it as positive 4 over 3x, all right? And then 15 divided by negative 3 is negative 5. But do I care about that y-intercept, guys? Do I care about this number out here? No. So I'm going to replace it with a plus b. Okay? Now I'm going to do the perpendicular. Perpendicular means that whatever my slope is, so whatever this number is, I'm going to change the sign. So it's going to go from a positive to a negative, and I'm going to flip the number. So instead of writing it as 4 over 3, I write it as 3 over 4. So that is my new slope, okay? So my equation would be y equal negative 3 over 4x plus b. So let's find what b is by plugging in our x and our y, all right? So my y is 0 is equal to negative 3 over 4. Parentheses, my x is 4. I can write it as 4 over 1, and then plus b, okay? So I would have now 0 is equal to negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. 4 times 1 is 4. And negative 12 divided by 4 is negative 3. Okay? So to find b, what would I need to do now, guys? I would need to add 3 to both sides. That would get canceled, and your b is equal to positive 3. So again, I would replace my b in this equation with positive 3. So my answer would be y equal negative 3 over 4x plus 3. All right. So again, guys, the more you practice, the better you'll get at this, guys. Because this was an activity or a skill that I taught you guys from the first couple weeks of knowing you. Okay, because it's a skill that a lot of persons forget. All right, or they're not able to get correct. If you can get a question like this correct, you are essentially doing extremely well. All right. So let's try this one, guys. All right. This one asks us for parallel, so that means your slope is gonna stay the same, okay? So let's first rewrite our equation in the form y equal what? What equation do we need to write it as? Y equal mx plus b, because that's the easiest way to identify your slope, all right? And do we care about the y-intercept? No, we do not, all right? So we do not care about that y-intercept, okay? So to get it to look like that form, I'm going to subtract x, that gets canceled. The positive 2y, I bring it down. Can I subtract x from 16? No, because they're not like terms. But I'm going to rearrange it as a negative x and a positive 16. Okay? So now I'm going to divide by 2, divide everything by 2. And again, what's technically in front of this x? A negative 1, all right? So I would have y is equal, can a negative divided by a positive gives me a negative, but can I divide 1 by 2? No. So I leave it as negative 1 over 2x, all right? 16 divided by 2 is 8, but do I care about that y-intercept, guys? Do I care about that number? No. So I'm going to replace it with the letter b, okay? So now we're gonna do the parallel. So parallel are lines that look like this, okay? So parallel means that your slope stays the same, all right? So again, our negative 1/2 stays the same. We don't need to do anything, okay? So we have y equal negative 1/2, okay? So x plus b. Now replace my x's and my y's. So my x is negative 5, my y is 1. So I have y equal negative 1/2. Instead of x, I write it as negative 8 over 1 plus b. I write it over 1 so that I can multiply the numerator and the denominator. Okay? So I have 1 is equal to negative 1 times negative 8. All right, only the 1 is negative. So only apply the negative only to the 1. So negative 1 times negative 8 is positive 8. 2 times 1 is 2. All right, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. All right, and what would be my final step? Subtract 4, subtract 4. So your b is equal to 1, take away 4 is negative 3. So I replace my b in this equation with negative 3. So my answer is y equal negative 1/2 x minus 3. All right. So again, guys, just like that. All right. So again, I want 5 of these guys, and if you can get 5 of these, all right, especially getting them everything correct in a row, you are like that, guys. All right. That means you are like that. Okay. So let's try another one, guys. Try another one, okay? So this one asks for perpendicular, which I prefer perpendicular because again, it actually is a little bit more difficult. And if you can get the more difficult one, you'll get the easier one, all right? So again, we need to get it in the form y equal mx plus b, all right? So that we can easily identify the slope. You see, I rewrite this every time, guys, because that's how you're going to remember it, okay? So again, the more you write it, the more you say it, the more you'll remember it. And do we care about the y-intercept for parallel and perpendicular? No. All right. So first, I need to get it into that form by subtracting x, subtracting x. That gets canceled. Your negative 2y, you bring it down. All right. Can I subtract x from 2? No. So I write it as a negative x and a positive 2. So it looks a little bit more like this form. Okay. So now I'm going to divide by my negative 2, divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. Technically, in front of this x is a negative 1. So that's gone, and we're left with y is equal to a negative divided by a negative is a positive. All right. But can we divide 1 by 2? No. So I leave it as positive 1 over 2x. Okay. 2 divided by negative 2 is negative 1. However, do we care about that y-intercept? No. So I replace it with the letter b. Okay? So perpendicular are intersecting lines, all right? So that perpendicular will be equal to different signs. So it goes from a positive to a negative, and it goes from 1 over 2 to 2 over 1. So that's my new slope, okay? So I would have y is equal to my new slope of negative 2 over 1 x plus b. So now I'm going to replace my x and my y. So my y with 2 and then my x with negative 5 over 1. All right. And then I rewrite my plus b. Okay, so now I have 2 is equal to negative 2 times negative 5 is positive 10. 1 times 1 is 1. All right. And we know 10 divided by 1 is still just 10. Anything divided by a positive 1 stays the same. And then final thing is subtract 10, subtract 10. So your b is 2 minus 10, which is negative 8. All right. So again, my equation for the perpendicular, I'll replace the negative 8 with my b. So I would have y equal negative 2 over 1x, or just negative 2, and then minus 8. Okay. But I like to write it like that, guys. Okay. That way persons don't possibly make any mistakes. Okay. So again, this answer right here is the same as y equal negative 2x minus 8. but you can write it as negative 2 over 1. All right, either way works. Okay, so let's try one last one, guys. All right, and it gave us parallel. Okay, so not bad. Two parallels and and three perpendiculars, so not bad. All right, so parallel means your slope stays the same. That's the easiest way of doing parallel and perpendicular. It is easier than perpendicular. All right. So again, we need to get it in the form y equal mx plus b. M is your slope, b is your y-intercept. Okay, but do we care about the y-intercept for this question? No. Okay, but we need to find the slope, so we need to subtract 2x, subtract 2x. That gets canceled. All right, the negative y, I bring it down. In front of the y is a negative 1. Equal to, can I subtract 2x from 5? No. So I'm going to rewrite it as a negative 2x and a positive 5. Okay? Now I'm going to divide by this negative 1, divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1. So I would have y is equal to a negative divided by negative is a positive, and 2 divided by 1 stays as 2. All right? So I can leave it as a 2 over 1. Okay? Or just a 2. Okay? And 5 divided by negative 1 is negative 5. But do we care about that y-intercept? No. So I'm going to replace it with the letter B. Okay? So parallel are two lines that are going the same direction but never touching. Okay? But it essentially just means your slope stays the same. Okay? Because again, you're saying the ratio for both lines are constant. Okay? So again, guys, it's going to stay the same as a 2. Okay? So I would have y equal 2x plus b. Now I'm going to replace my x and my y. So we have 6 equal 2 parentheses 6 plus b. Okay. So we have 6 is equal to 2 times 6 is 12 plus b. So then I would subtract 12, subtract 12. So your b is going to be equal to 6 take away 12, which is negative 6. So this negative 6 replaces your b for your y-intercept. So your answer is y equal 2x minus 6. All right. So again, as I stated, guys, parallel is the easiest way of doing this. Okay. Perpendicular, if you can master perpendicular, you should feel great, guys. But if you can master this entire question, you should feel great. All right. So good luck, guys.